right? Masculine role is being expected. So you are supposed to be strong, you don't speak out, you don't, yeah, you just like bottle your emotions, right? And that's the expectation. But if you don't do that, the society see you as sissy, right? Like sissy, like you're weak, right? And now tonight, it's not about blaming, like I said. People heal where they feel emotionally safe. That's the thing. And together we will explore how women can actually be that safe space for men. So the question is, if women are often among the closest people in a man's life, how do we become part of the healing instead of another place where the man has to hide? Because it's possible that the man is going through stuff in his own house, but he's hiding the emotions. But the expectation is that as the woman in the house, as the friend, as the bestie, and I don't want to use the word I side chick because I don't subscribe to search, right? The goal is to make sure that that person can ventilate how they feel. But unfortunately, they are beside you and still they are hiding stuff. So the first thing is to understand, we listen to understand and not listen to respond. So a lot of times when the man is talking to us as women, and God bless us women, our department is so complicated that all of us are lawyers. By the time a man is saying one, two, something, we're already saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're so good at bringing cases that has happened 5 years ago, we can bring it into the present. Remember 5 years ago stuff and all that. So the goal is that in a situation like that, for a man to be able to open up and bottle up what is in their mind, is to listen to understand and not listen to respond. That shouldn't be the goal. Because one of the greatest gifts you can give another human being is your full attention, right? And many of us listen with the intention of just replying. So few listen with the intention, to understand. But many people, they just want to rush to solve the problem. And here is the thing: a man is not looking for a babysitter or a problem solver as such. A man just needs that person who can just be there to listen, to like, bro, I feel you. Yeah. Like, honey, I feel you. Yeah, I can understand you. That genuine presence matters a lot because it's going to open a lot of doors to that conversation, right? And then now, he's looking for permission to be human. That's what the man is looking for. He's looking for that permission to express who he is instead of asking, what is wrong with you? Can we just ask, you have been carrying a lot lately. What have been weighing on your heart? Same question, same question, but in a different approach. You get? Because when you ask a man, what is wrong with you? That question kind of look a bit defensive. Like, what do you mean by what's wrong with me? Right? And then we're not even solving the problem itself. Right? So that simple shift of that conversation is very important because great listeners don't merely listen. They don't just, they just don't hear the words. They also hear the emotions because in the course of discussing with that person, they can actually see the emotion and they can act. But listen it's just the only beginning of it, right? What happens after someone speaks determines whether they will ever speak up again. A lot of times a man has bottled up something. I mean, they've kind of tried to ventilate, they trusted the woman so much. And then the way it was taken, the way the approach that, the way the woman received it, the way the sister received it, the way the colleague received it was not in a proper way. What's going to happen to such a man? What do you think? Such a person will stop talking. And the goal here is we want that person to talk and be genuine and, trust us so much that they can say the thing. So the next thing is to create that emotional safety. A man really becomes vulnerable twice in a place, where vulnerability was punished. I think there is kind of like, right. So a man really, becomes vulnerable twice in a place where his vulnerability has been punished before. They won't want to speak up, right? So if he trusts you enough to tell you he's struggling, protect that moment. Don't interrupt. Don't even compare. Don't even dismiss that emotion, right? Don't even minimize that emotion at all. And never weaponize the vulnerability because something like I said, the goal is not to judge women yet, but sometimes we're so good at weaponizing the vulnerability of a man. Like, huh? You mean you did this? You
Yeah.
mean you were hiring that person? I mean, that's a common thing now. You mean you were like, you're saying that person? You mean you were going through stuff like this, right? We kind of weaponize that, we kind of bash them down. And they don't speak out, they don't say the whatever is there. So the trust itself is fragile, and one conversation can strengthen it. So that's very important, that we're not just only listening, we're also making sure that we're creating that safe space by receiving what they do well. The other thing is that this brings us to another important truth, which is perhaps we need to redefine what strength really looks like, right? Society has made us understand that a man should never cry, a man should man up, a man should be strong, a man should, this is the image that a man should be. But here is the thing, that those definitions are not biological in origin, they are socially constructed things. These are things that we women decided that this is what it should look like. But the real strength is not pretending. Real strength is saying, I need help, right? And if that man trusts you enough to say that, we should celebrate, that opportunity of a man telling us that. Because a lot of time we celebrate men for going to the gym, right? Wow, well done. The man is trying to lose weight. We celebrate them for being able to carry the weight of this world. We celebrate them for being able to pay the bills. But what we do not celebrate is ability for them to, open up and tell you that I think I need therapy. We begin to look them as a weak vessel, but that's not right. So now, beyond encouraging healing, there's another gift every woman can give freely, and it's the gift of affirmation. When you affirm a man, you know, not just his performance, right? Not just his promotion, not just about his salary, not just about his success, but every human being, longs to be valued for who they are. What are the things we are telling them? It's very important. I admire your integrity. I admire the fact that you can trust me enough to tell me this. I admire the fact that you're patient. I admire your patience. I admire the fact that you're doing this for the family. But oftentimes we just focus on the material things that the man is. That's all we kind of like put the man in the box, and that's all we admire in the man. But the core of that man is not being affirmed. And here is the thing, like, so character will last longer than achievement. So affirmation nourishes the soul. That's the truth. Affirmation, it nourishes the soul. It unlocks so many things in that man. It creates that safe space for that man to be able to speak out. And then sometimes healing doesn't begin with advice. Like I said, the man doesn't need an advisor. He doesn't need a chief justice officer. He doesn't need a babysitter. What he does need is, somebody who can ask the right question for him to be able to unlock what is in his mind. We don't want our environment, where the man or our loved one who happen to be a man, we don't want to be like hell on earth. We want to make it such that it is conducive for them to explore. It's conducive for them to, be who they are, and that's very important. And on a personal level, as being a healthcare provider, I've seen a lot of times where family members will come to the hospital, a man going through so many stuff, and then right there in the hospital bed, the woman is just bashing the man, just bashing, 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 like, so over time, I have sat and I've seen that a lot of time men bottle so many things, and even statistics research has even shown that men will never tell you that they are depressed. They will never tell you that they are weak, but yet statistics is showing that they have that tendency to be more depressed. They have that more tendency to be traumatized. They have more that tendency not to be able to, you know, say what is on their mind. Women, we are natural speakers, right? We will say it as it is, but man will just bottle that thing up. And that's what the society is doing to a man. But yet, and it's important that we begin to pay attention to that. So tonight, I want us to challenge every woman here, that in the next 24 hours, reach out to one man, reach out to your brother, reach out to your spouse, reach out to your friend, your colleague, your father, wherever your pastor, your mentor, you know, ask that question. Are you okay? Because many men will tell you that they are fine, right? But the thing is that instead, you want to ask that question of what is bothering your mind, and you pay attention. The approach is very important, right? You want to listen, you don't want to judge, you just don't want to respond immediately, but you want to pay attention. You want to simply understand that person, right? And that's very important. We begin to look at that. So imagine a world where boys are taught emotional intelligence, right? Alongside mathematics, where husband can actually admit that they're exhausted without being judged, which is very important. where brothers can ask questions. How is your mental health? You know, so imagine homes where vulnerability is welcome. The man is able to express himself. It will be more encouraged to speak up next time. You'll be more encouraged. It's kind of seal that relationship, that conversation. And as basic as it is, sometimes people love themselves, but if they don't understand themselves, that love is going to be frustrated over time. That's what I find out, you know. And I'm saying that not because, abstractly. I'm saying that because as a wife too, I've been married for 14 years, and I can tell you the importance of excellent and effective communication in marriage, or even letting the man express himself. So I will leave us with this saying that behind every or behind many angry men is an unheard story, right? Every strong man deserves one place where he doesn't have to be strong all the time, right? And the listening here is often the first prescription to a wounded heart. That's very important. So all of
So how
this is
can
so
we
important. So, and I want to
important?
so not every wound bleeds. I want every woman to know that, everybody here to know that not every wound bleeds, right? Not everything like a man is going through will be seen, but not every smile means peace. The man will be smiling, but doesn't mean he's peaceful within, right? And not every strong man is okay, right? Some are carrying griefs, some are carrying financial pressure, some are even carrying disappointment, some are carrying loneliness, and many have simply forgotten what it feels to be emotionally safe. And our role here is not as babysitter, but to just simply be there for them, be the encourager, and be committed to their well-being and how they feel. So I would pause here at this moment. Right. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that talk. Thank you. I do get one or two things from it. Like you said, we always have this narration when we're growing up where you have to say, "Oh, you're a boy, stop crying." You have to man up. And luckily, thankfully, we realize that the world is changing. We are shifting from that narrative, and it's very important that we keep talking about it. Thank you so much. We'll leave the question till the end. So I am going to call in the second speaker, my very, very dear friend. Um, when we went to Kenya, like was it 2, 3 years ago, Tony was one of the people that actually kindly welcomed us. And since then, he has been a very dear brother. He's been, honestly, when it's come to Kenya, he is always the first person I call. I always say Kenya is my second home because of Tony, because of, I have a second mom in Kenya. I have, you know, I don't know, I just feel safe in Kenya. As exactly as I feel when I go to Nigeria. So thank you for coming on. I'm just going to read a bit about Tony. Tony Kisaka is a Nairobi-based strategy and operation executive and executive director of Tova Future Limited with extensive experience in corporate leadership, governance, and sustainable development across Africa and beyond. His career spans from senior role at Serigraph Limited, Mambati Rolling Mills, Everready Energizer, Safaricom PLC, and Vodafone Group, where he led enterprise transformation initiative and managed global business intelligence infrastructure across 52 countries. Through 12-bar Future Limited, he advises organizations on business transformation and operational excellence with engagement in banking and public sectors reform. He also served in significant governance roles, including nearly a decade on the Safaricom Foundation Board, and continued to contribute to initiatives in sport, health, education, and sustainability. He is a mental health advocate. He is committed to promoting resilience, access to care, and open dialogue on well-being. He is a proud father of four and a purpose-driven leader dedicated to serve and impact. Tony is also on our executive board for Duchess Africa Empowerment Foundation. So thank you, Tony. I give you the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Duchess. I'm really glad to be here this evening, and welcome to the ladies. I'll say a very good evening to the ladies, and thank you for showing up for the men. Because let's be honest, getting a man to talk about his feelings and trying to update it pretty much getting a man to talk about his feelings is like trying to update software on a phone that keeps saying, remind me later. And it does that indefinitely. Why? Because you keep talking to them or trying to talk to them, trying to get them to open up on their feelings. And many times it does not happen, which is very frustrating, I'm sure, for the ladies. And I'm sure quite a number of us here, quite a number of the ladies here, we will be able to attest to this. So, as Duchess said, my name is Tony Kisaka. And indeed, I've been privileged, and I thank God for that, that to be able to have been of service over the years in various fields and mental health, where I became an advocate through experience rather than, it wasn't an intentional decision, but then through what I was going through in my life, and a few people who know me well might know what I've been going through in my life. I was able to get to a place where I realized the things that I did and the things that I was advised to do and the support that I got helped me to make sure that I am where I am right now. Being able to talk about this, looking confident, looking like, I've got everything together. I can guarantee you I don't have everything together, but I've got support systems and I've got experiences and I've got things that I've had to go through to get here. And I believe that's why I'm speaking to us today. And from that, I felt that I cannot keep quiet and just stay with all the knowledge and all the support that I've gotten. I need to also speak it out. So I speak in various forums where mental health is spoken about, or mental health awareness is. I've been privileged on a voluntary basis for a couple of years to be the head of strategy and programs at the Coalition Action for Preventive Mental Health in Kenya, where I've engaged, including with the government when we're looking at policies, national policies, and bylaws within our counties and many other areas. So, getting into it, I'll say that I stand here today, not just as Tony Kisaka, but as a representative of the millions of men who were told growing up, be strong. And as I say this, think about it from our own lives. I would like for us to take a journey back into our own lives. And some of the things that I'm mentioning and some of the things that I talk about, think about them and ask ourselves, am I one of those who have said this? Am I one of those who've actually been doing this? And what can I do to be able to change? So growing up as men, as small boys, we've been told, be strong. We've been told, don't cry. Men don't cry. Boys don't cry. We've been told, figure it out, right? You're a man, figure it out. We've seen this happening many times, even as we go through life, especially for men. And I would say even for those who've got families, when you're married, your husband is there, or your father, for those who got their fathers, or for those who are fathers, if some of you are joining us here, think about what happens when there is strife in the family. Your daughters will come to you. Your sons will come to you. Your wife will come to you. Or the children may go to your spouse, to your wife. And then your wife will come to you. Or they will go to their mother. And then the mother will come to the head of the home. And the moment she shares with the head of the home, what normally happens, as far as she's concerned, I've escalated to the person who we know will be able to handle these issues. All right. So when you look at that, just give me a second. Sorry, my daughter just walked in. Yes, Lena. Second, please. Hi, how are you doing? I'm in a meeting. I'll talk. Oh, come and say hi first. Come and say hi first, please. Come on, come on, come on.
Hi.
All right. Okay, I'll be with you in a minute. You can hang out in the room there.
Well, that's great.
Sorry, she's just coming from her mom's. I've lost my train of thought, which tells you what is normally the most important thing in my life, my children.
Mm.
So let me try and get my train of thought back. Oh yeah, I was talking about, you will find that the moment the head of the home, the moment it reaches to the man, who can the man escalate to? You'll find if you're married, the wife is expecting, I have told my husband, and I'm trusting that my husband will handle whatever issues that we have. That's the ultimate. Now, from there, who does a man come to talk to? Who does the man come and say, I have failed, I've been unable to do this. My marriage is failing. My children are not going to school. I can't afford the fees. I've got children who are sick. My spouse is sick, and I'm not able to raise the money for that. We've got issues that have happened, and we're about to be auctioned. And my whole family is looking at me. Who is there for the man? And remember, with all this, at the back of our minds, we're remembering be strong. Men are not weak. Real men are not weak because that's what society tells us. Remember, the back of my mind, we're remembering do not cry. Men don't cry. Remember, at the back of our mind, we're remembering society telling us figure it out. Don't give excuses. And unfortunately, many of us men have taken this literally, even when we are breaking inside. I will have a ton of things I'm working on. I'm struggling with so much. I will speak about my own life. At the time that my marriage was breaking, I was losing my wife. That means I was being, disengaged from my kids. I was having pressure at work where I was working at that particular point. I'm the eldest in the family, so I always have, my brothers, my siblings, my relatives will always look to me at times in many other aspects. I was juggling all this. I was breaking inside, but I needed to be there for those who are depending on me. And I did not have an option of saying, go and talk to so and so. Go, I'm not able to help you. Go and find help from somewhere else. So many times, as men, we are forced to park on the side everything that we're going through, everything that is hurting us, everything that we're struggling with, and we take care of others. But who is there to take care of the men? I want us to just take a minute and think about the silent burden that men carry. Because as men, we do not lack feelings. Many people, there's a misconception that men don't have feelings, they don't care. No, men don't lack feelings. What we lack is permission. We have been denied the permission by society to cry. We have been denied the permission to show our weaknesses. We have been denied the permission to break down. We are expected to perform at above 98% consistently throughout our lives. From a young age, boys are praised for toughness. My son is tough. My son cannot be bullied. Oh, that boy bet you. Why did you not beat them back? Why did you not fight? Boys are praised for toughness, not vulnerability. Pain is silenced, not processed. Think about that. Whenever we're in pain, most of the time, it is silenced. What do you mean you're in pain? What do you mean you're struggling? I remember in my life, someone who I really respected and I was struggling, I was at the end of my wits. And I was trying to open up to a fellow man. And he said, don't do that. You're being a woman. Why? Because women talk. Women speak. Women reach out even to strangers, fellow women, and they talk. And people think that's a weakness. But when you look at the statistics globally, between men and women, how many, or rather which race, or rather which gender is losing more people to mental health issues? Which gender is attributed to being in prison more? Which gender is committing suicide, is killing, is doing things that we make noise about, but we don't ask ourselves, where did it start from? Think about it. A man can provide everything for all those around them, everything and more, and they will still be emotionally bankrupt. And when you ask them, what's wrong? They'll say, nothing. Meanwhile, inside, the job is collapsing. Their self-worth is shaking, and many times we're the ones who are also contributing to that. The dreams are negotiating with reality. What's my dream? Beautiful family, my children growing, sitting at the fireplace with my grandkids, telling them stories of growing up, telling them about their parents, my children. and laughing with my grandkids. That's my dream. It's always been my dream. But I'm divorced now. And I don't get to see my kids as often as I would like to. I used to have a dining table in my house, seats for the family, and I was happy about it. Right now, I stay in a small house, no dining table. Because if I cannot have my family on the dining table, I would rather then not have a dining table. And yet, with all this, I still say, I am good. I am fine. I'm doing well. If you find me out there, look at how I'm talking right now. You will never know what's happening in my life. Because I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm giving an image out there. But I know that if I do not do this, and remember, I'm a consultant. Who among us here would even consider giving me an opportunity to do a job for them, a project for them? If I was breaking down, if I was showing myself breaking down in weakness, you will say, no, this guy doesn't have it all together. We cannot give him this job. Yet I need that job to take care of my family. That is how we end up putting the man down. Then we come and ask, why is he weak? Why is he not able to get things together? We need to ask ourselves, what do men actually need? Because to be frank, we do not always need solutions. We just need safety. I need to know that I am safe in a safe place that I can be able to break down, that I can be able to cry, that I can be able to say I don't have it all together, that I can be able to say I am weak, that I can be able to say I have failed and I need help. Because me saying I have failed does not mean I'm a failure. It just means I had a bad break and I failed. And even if I'm in a safe environment, that environment, the people around me can be able to help me and encourage me, and I will rise out of the ashes like the phoenix and go to where I know my greatest potential is. Men need to be respected before repair. Don't call me worthless and then say, okay, you're worthless. You can't even pay fees for your children. Okay, I'll help you pay your fees, the fees for your children. No. We need respect. What have I done? I'm struggling day in, day out. I rarely get any accolades for it. I'm not asking to get accolades. Everything I do right is expected of me. The moment I do one thing wrong, the disrespect. How many of us know of people who, the moment the man was struggling, the lady left? And she can be able to say, okay, we were struggling, I couldn't take it anymore. But think about it. You say, okay, he lost his job. He was struggling. He wasn't able to provide for us. So I decided to leave. And I hear a lot of this because whenever I talk, I hear a lot of this, some from women, some from men. So that's why I talk about it. And I'm not sorry if I step on anyone's toes. Why? Because it's time we got to know the truth and stop being sorry about the truth and true facts. We need to get this out there. If you try and do your statistics during the COVID period, in the last from 2020, for the 5 years, how many divorces happened? Then find out of all those divorces that happened, how many were initiated by men? How many were initiated by women? And what were the reasons? It was sad when I was somewhere and a lady actually was saying that, she was talking to her husband and they were engaging, and he said he is glad that she's able to talk to him and he's able to talk to her. And she was like, what do you mean? She was sharing this with us and said, because my husband said that normally men rarely talk. Whatever you say will probably be used against you. And unfortunately, when men make money, they feel like I can be able to get a wife and take care of a family. And when women make money and they're doing well, they say, I don't need a man. I can take care of myself. Are we seeing where the struggles begin? Both of them are right. Both of them are right. The man says, I can now afford to be able to take care of a wife, so I'll look for a wife. Or if they were struggling, like, I'm now doing better. I will be able to take care of my wife. She has helped me through struggles. I will be able to take care of her. I'll be able to give her one, two, three. What happens if it's the lady who gets the break? I'll let you answer that. And remember, you cannot correct a man you have not connected with. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter who you are. If there's no connection, you cannot correct that man. As men, we need safe spaces, not interrogation rooms. Think about it in terms of when you're engaging with the men in your lives, your father, your brother, your son, your colleague. When things are not working, when there's a struggle, are those men, when you're around, do they feel safe? Are you a safe space? Or do the men look at you as an interrogation room? Remember, a safe space is where a man can be weak without feeling small. So ask yourself, have I ever made any man in my ecosphere feel small? Because if the answer is yes, well, I guess we've got some work to do to be able to change the way we see these men who are weak, these men who are struggling, these men who have got battles and are fighting battles nobody can ever imagine. And we need to be able to understand the language of that man. One of our biggest cries is, I wish the women in our lives could understand our language when we're talking and not twist the words and say, oh, so that's what you mean by our actions. So why are you quiet? Stop being interrogators and begin to understand the language, and then we respond, not react. How can women support us? Number one, by listening to understand, not to respond. Because sometimes the greatest therapy is uninterrupted listening. At times, I just need to just download. I'm working it out here, but I just need to download it for a while, even if it's for a night, for an hour, for 30 seconds, so I can be able to say, I have someone on my side who understands what I'm going through, who I know I can be able to come and voice my thoughts without any judgment. And she doesn't have to be able to give me solutions. I don't need her to give me solutions. Most of the times, I just need to put it out there, voice it so that I do not go crazy upstairs thinking about how to resolve issues that maybe the resolution is just a simple thing. Ladies, we need to normalize our emotional expression, because the moment a man's vulnerability is used against him, it's the last time he will ever open up. Many of us watch, I'm talking about us as men, we watch and we're quiet. Many ladies say, my husband doesn't talk. He doesn't tell me what he's going through. I can see he's struggling. He's not talking to me. I can see my brother. I can see my father. I can see so-and-so committed suicide, and I was there. Why didn't they talk to me? Why didn't they open up? I could have helped my child, my parent, my relative, my friend. They committed suicide on something that I was capable of helping. Why did they not help? And we forget there's a time that they said, I am struggling and I don't know what to do. And someone was like, okay, you figured it out. I remember a few years back after I lost my marriage, and one of my eldest daughter, actually, she was in campus and she needed some money because she was short on rent and I didn't have money. And I asked someone, could you please help me with this amount of money? It's for my daughter. I told them it's for my daughter. It's desperate. She's about to be kicked out of her house tonight. I need to help her. And that was around mid-morning. And they told me, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I don't have any money. And we were on a WhatsApp group together with other friends. And I said, it's okay. Then around 8 p.m. on that group, the same person is in a club and they've got a table full of different drinks and saying, hey, Tony, where are you? I've not seen you in a while. Why don't you come? I'll buy you a bottle of gin. I used to enjoy my gin. And I didn't even talk. I read it and I exited the group. Because if I come to you as a man and I'm telling you I'm struggling, I need to help my daughter, and you tell me I'm not able to help, then, but you still want to enjoy clubbing with me, it can't happen. If I come to even my spouse, there's a young man who told me, Tony, I'm struggling. I'm building a home for my family. And building is expensive. It's taken every single cent. And my wife works. She earns a very good salary, almost the same as I earn. But even if the gas cylinder in our house gets empty, they will wait until I refill it. She doesn't touch her money. Even if there's an issue that is a financial issue, my wife will not step in. So I'm building our home and I'm doing all these things. But my wife will go out. You'll see her, she'll go out clubbing with her friends and she'll go to expensive clubs. She's enjoying her life because the man is building the home. When is the last time, ladies, you were able to affirm the men in your lives beyond their role? Because a man who feels seen at home can conquer battles outside. Every day we step out of that door, we go out for battles. Prep us at home so that when we go out there, we will conquer each and every battle and come back injured, damaged, struggling. And you come and say, welcome back, sweetheart. You did good. And I know you're strong enough. And I'm here. I'll give you that massage. I'll make sure you're eating. Talk to me. Tell me about your day. Tell me about your struggles. Guess what? By the next morning, I will be so prepped to walk out of that door. Why? Because I am going to conquer the world for my queen. I'm going to conquer the world for my daughters, my spouse, my sisters. Have we ever thought about something like that? Or is it by the time the man is leaving the house, he's actually literally running out to avoid the words that are coming at him? Ladies, be our peace, not another battlefield. The world is already fighting us in so many fronts, on so many fronts. Don't let home become another war zone. And even in our lives, and the people, the men that we know in our lives, we need to right now from this, do a reality check. Because many men are not okay. Too many men are not okay. They're just functioning, working, providing, smiling, showing up, but we are quietly drowning. And most of us don't break loudly. We just fade away silently. You just realize one day, like, oh, where is Tony? I've not seen him in a while. Oh, he disappeared. We don't know what happened. But then surprisingly, the time I was struggling through my life, when I lost my marriage and everything from around 2019, I left so many groups. I used to have every fortnight, every 2 weeks, I used to have a grill. I'll put out a grill, and I used to have between 30 to 50 people just coming to hang out, eat, grilled meats, share drinks, and just network in my place. I stopped that in 2019 when I lost my marriage because there are a lot of changes that needed to happen. Remember, I said every 2 weeks or so, I have between 30 to 50 people. And I'm not talking, it's not the same people, different people, because I love to network. And I'll invite people. And so people come in with their friends as well. So I got to know people get to exchange it. When I stopped it, guess what? I can count maybe about 5 or 6 people who ask me, hey, Tony, what happened? The moment I stopped being useful, most forgot about me. And I want us to understand that even as I'm bringing this to a close, it's not about blaming women. I'm not blaming the women. As men, we also must learn how to speak and to heal. And that's what I do. That's why I'm here talking to us. It helps me with my healing. It helps me with my therapy to be able to talk about this. But healing becomes easier when someone creates the space for it. So I urge us to be able to create that space so that men around us can be able to learn how to speak and tell us what they're going through, can begin to learn how to heal. So if you want to change a man's life, don't just love him loudly, understand him deeply. You don't have to fix us, but your understanding might just save us. Thank you.
That was oh gosh, I'm actually short of words. What is it going? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah. Oh my God, so emotional. I feel so emotional now. Thank you so much, Jenny, for that. I have so many, you gave me so many things to think about. You gave me so many questions to ask you. But I would want to give the floor to everyone to ask their questions first because I have some deep questions I really want to ask because, you know, while you were talking about, you know, men, boys are denied that permission to cry, denied that permission to do so many things. It gave me a light bulb moment to think about other things, but I would want other people to ask questions first. I'll leave mine to the last. We have our first and second speaker. If you have any questions for them, can you please, you could raise your hand or you can just talk now, please. Okay, while we're waiting for questions, I think my own first question is while you were talking, Tony, I was reflecting on so many things, and I don't know, maybe every other person agree with me, but in a world where it is looking like the future is female, the young lady is getting more stronger, more powerful. The young lady is getting into positions of the matters in the world. What happened to the boy child? Because with people like you, you've gone through this process and you're where you are now. What are we doing for our boy child? What is the plan for the boy
Right.
child?
Okay, this is something that I've talked about quite a bit. And as I said many years back, we realized that the girl child had been forgotten because
Or the
of
boy
culture
child?
and the past, the way we've grown up. And every effort was made, both by men and women, to remember the girl child, to make sure she goes to school, to empower her and to equip her. And we've done that exceptionally. But unfortunately, when it comes to life, there's never really a vacuum. There's never supposed to be a vacuum. If we are going to be able to live a meaningful life, there can't be a vacuum. But guess what happened? We focused on the girl child and we forgot the boy child. So the boy child who was ahead, all of a sudden realized, was saying, no, you are boys, we are taking care of the girls. The girls are forgotten. You guys are doing well. We want to focus on the girls. And now we are raising girls who are empowered, who are equipped, who are smart, and they're taking over the world until the time that they're looking for spouses, until for the time that they're looking for partners and they have no one and they get into depression. Why can't I find someone to spend the rest of my life with? I've got the money, I've got all this. Why can't I find this? Why can't I have this? We created a monster. And that's why some of us, like for me, I am doing this because I want my daughters to be able to find men that they will marry.
Mm.
Men that I can be able to say, yeah, this one has his head bolted on straight. I know someone who, when they were in campus, he had a girlfriend, and campus girlfriend, but she was serious. And he broke up with her in campus. Guess what? 20 years later, they met, and she's a beautiful girl. And this guy is single. She was single at that time. Okay. And he was like, oh, wow, it's been so long, but you know what? Can we have dinner? And they had dinner, and we talked. And at that point, and he asked her, he said, you know what? I realized that I really, really liked you even back then, and I actually really loved you. But, life happened, and I'm here now and I'm single. I'm not married. You're not married. Why don't we try it again? And she
Mm.
said, no, I don't think so. He again called her a couple of times. That's when people like me are always brought in, unfortunately or fortunately. And so he calls me and says, Tony, so and so, I would like to talk to them in your presence because I just want us to get to some things out in the open. And I said, okay, fine. So we met and I was sitting there and we had lunch, we talked, and it was all fun because even after they met, we actually talk the way we're talking, as friends. And so he says, "No, Tony, I asked you to be here because you're like my big brother. So I just wanted to talk to her with you in your presence as well, so that if there's anything that I say that is out of turn, you'll be able to point it out. And if any issues, at least you can be able to talk about this." And I said, okay, fine. And so he says, I like you. And I understand that, I know I left you at a time and you didn't understand why and you're heartbroken, but I'm here now. And she asked,
Mm.
why? Man, 20 years later says, to this day, that's the one thing that I've never healed. And that's the one thing I've not forgiven you about. Why did you let me go at that time? And we were so in love. And I knew that we were good for each other. And he said, I was in campus. I was young
Mm.
and stupid and reckless, and I was having fun and jumping all over the place. And I said, I will not do to you this thing of, my games and everything and get to break your heart in that way. So I decided to remove myself from the equation. So you
Right.
see, if you think about a college kid, that's very sensible thinking. I'm going to go out partying with my friends. We're going to find girls. So because I like this girl so much, let me dump her so that I do not hurt her. But guess what? He hurt her.
Yeah, I wanted to say she's already out anyway. You left her.
So that was one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, okay, this is a hard one, but at least he said his part. So that is also understandable because now she's able to understand where he's coming from. Then she spoke and she said, look, back then, yes, you're young and nice and handsome and you're playing rugby and everything. But right now, you had a problem with your back. So you've got a
Mm.
bad back. You're bald. You're older. Why should I accept you now?
Absolutely.
But are you seeing what she's done to him now? At that particular point, are you seeing what she has done? Yes, you were hurt 20 years ago, but now you're hurting him 20 years later because of where he's at. It wasn't his desire to have a bad back. That's someone who's going every week, they're going for therapy. You can imagine the cost, you can imagine the strain, the stress. And they're telling them, I cannot take you back because of your back. Not because of what you did, because you're balding and you've got a bad back right now.
Mm.
I hope that kind of answered what you're. Others, I'll talk for the next one hour, and then I'm sure people need
No,
to
no,
have
no, no, that's
questions.
fine. We'll still have to come back to that. But I have two questions. I have someone raising her hand up. Isabel, please, you can talk now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, that the statement has just kind of it has taken me out of what I even wanted to say. Okay, just a minute, I wrote it down. What? Okay, right. So my question was, it was in relation to an uninterrupted listening, because
Yeah.
on occasion, like I listen to. Let me give an example of my brother, and he'd give me examples of some of the things that he's going through. And
Right.
like he's a good bit older than me, but then I feel so unequipped to even help beyond just listening. So I was just like, how do I help beyond that? Like what else can I do?
Give him a hug.
Hello, by the way.
Give him a hug. Give him a hug and tell him, you got this, and you know I'm always going to be here, and I'm going to always be able to listen. And if there's any way I can help, please tell me. Because you are asking, how can I help? He knows how you can help. You're asking us here, why are you not asking him?
Yeah.
You're asking yourself, why are you not asking him? So you give him a hug, tell him, look, I respect you, I honor you, I love you, I'm proud of you, you're doing great as a man. But every one of us needs some downtime. And I just want you to know that as your sister, I'm here. And when you're with me, you need to be real. You can break down. I will be your strength at that particular time. Allow me to carry a little bit of what you carry because I know I might not be able to carry everything you carry, but allow me to carry that little bit. Let me be the one your sounding board where you talk and vent your frustration. Bring it to me. You'll be very amazed and surprised, not just at the fact that that will help him to now go back and fight his battles, but it's going to improve your brother-sister relationship as well. Because now he knows my sister is in my corner and she knows me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering that question. I have another question in the chat box. It said, "Good day, everyone. And thank you to the organizer for the important conversation. I have one important question. Yeah, then if I may, I said, at what stage in a boy's upbringing do we begin to teach emotional suppression, and what practical changes can be made early in childhood to raise boys who can express their emotions in a healthy way?" Thank you.
We need to start, number one, by the men who are here, the men who already are in our lives. When is the last time we talked to them? When is the last time we encourage them to be in men's groups where they can be able to talk about their frustrations, their struggles, everything? And then as they're doing that, those groups that they have, those friends that they have, they're able to bring in their sons. They at times also bring in their daughters so that, because you see, remember, we are here because we realized the girl child was in trouble, and we focused on the girl child, and we forgot the boy child. So we cannot be able to get to that place where we say now we're now focusing on the boy child and we forget the girl child. That's what I'm saying. Those men will at times bring their daughters, at times bring their sons, at times bring a mix, boys, girls, and even their spouses, and just engage so that the people in our lives, let the ladies in my life, let the kids in my life be able to see how I engage and interact with other men. Because there's been many different variations of this joke, both memes and videos, where they show a number of men and they say their women think they're out clubbing and cheating. And then they show men doing goofy, stupid, childish things, and they're so happy and excited. We're just big children. But we will not let you see that side unless we trust you.
Absolutely.
So, and you don't have to do anything for us to trust you. You just need to give us the platform. Show us that you are able to listen. Show us that you're not going to judge us. Then you'll see the stupid side of us. For those who are married, some of you will be like, when we're alone, my husband, oh my God, that guy is a clown. But nobody outside sees that. Except his boys, whenever they are just boys. We need to be asking ourselves why. If you have such a man in your house or in your ecosphere, ask yourself, why is it that this is the real person I'm able to see? Why is it that they hide this from the rest of the world? Because see, if they're hiding, guess what? They're also hiding it from their children. So my son will not know that I'm this goofy. He'll only see the strict, focused, not smiling man. Guess what happens? My son grows up focused, no smiling, no jokes. Then, when they're having issues, my daughter-in-law comes and says, he doesn't smile, he doesn't talk, he doesn't open up, he's always angry. And I'm asking why, but he learned it from me.
Yeah.
And when he tried to tell mom, how come daddy is always so angry? What does mom say? That's how your dad is. See, I married him. That's how he is. Yet you know that he's a goofy guy. Or whatever trauma he went through, he's struggling with something. Now, instead of helping him and making sure that as you're helping him, you're saying, let's make sure we break this so that the cycle, whatever we went through, does not happen to our son as well. You're encouraging your son to believe that this is how life should be. And when our kids, no matter how small, never tell that boy. When he falls and he's crying, never tell him you're a boy, you shouldn't cry. I'm a man right now. I'm 49. I'll be 50 next year in February. I cry, and I do not make any apologies for it. At some point, I don't know, for those who might know me very well, even in this video, there's a place where I got a bit emotional, actually twice. But you need to really know me very well to have noticed that. Why? Because this is something that's so passionate to me that it brings me to tears many times. Because I remember the men who have struggled, the men we have lost, who have died, who have committed suicide, the men who have gotten sick and died. I got into depression to the point that it affected my heart. And I was rushed to hospital. I was in hospital for 10 days. And I believe my sister Adiola will understand. I was diagnosed with pericarditis. I used to go to the gym. I was very fit. I went there, and the cardiologist was trying to find out where did this come from, because when they look at all the symptoms and everything, and it was trickled down to my mental state because of the stress I was going through. The stress affected my heart. In short, that was the time when I lost my wife. In short, I was literally heartbroken. Not the heartbroken that we talk about, the lovey-dovey thing. I was heartbroken. And our sister can tell you with pericarditis, if you don't get help, you will die. Now you can imagine people say, Tony died. What did he die for? Oh, it was a heart condition. No, it was not a heart condition. It was a mental condition. And I remember the cardiologist telling me, this is the reason. I said, that can't be it. And he said, no, we've looked at everything else, all your vitals. You go to the gym, you play rugby, you're fit, you've got all these things. We're looking at all this and the history. It is the strain and the stress is because I was not sleeping well. I was always working hard to keep myself in control, not to lose my temper. I was, with all the things that I was working with, you can imagine it affected my head to the point that it was affecting my heart. And when you look at it, many times in the many areas, one thing I'll say is this: for women, when they're depressed, it's internal. They keep quiet, they go silent, they disappear. For most men, it's actually external. So we will drink more, we will go clubbing. I will go to the rugby field and I'll be the roughest, toughest guy on that field. I'll go play golf and I'll be really good with my golf. And when I say golf, think about Tiger Woods. We make noise about him. We say, look, this guy is losing his future. He's been so good. What's happening? Look at him. What we don't realize that possibly his mental state is what made him become very good in golf. Why am I saying that? Because when he's not playing golf, what is he doing? He's getting so drunk and making mistakes that we're asking, what's wrong with this guy? And we're talking about his alcoholism. We're not asking ourselves, what is the underlying trauma that he's had to go through? I'll stop at that for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tony, for that. I would actually give you the chance as well to help us answer the question. Like the question in the chat box. That's it. It says I'll go back to it if you want me to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
Can you hear me?
Please, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So, Mr.
When do
Tony,
we begin to teach? Okay.
yeah,
You got the
I got the
question, right?
question. A
Yes.
very important question. But before I pick on that question,
Yeah.
Mr. Tony, I thank you for sharing that, as raw as it is, and that's why it's always good to have a conversation. Like, in fact, I saw somebody who wrote on the chat that Duchess bring more men to, conversation like this, right? Because everything is for women, 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 women. Even Mother's Day celebration, I think we celebrate 3 times in a year, and last week we had Father's Day.
Sorry to cut you short, but just on that point, so that I don't forget. Yes, Mother's Day. Do you know that Father's Day shares the same day with International Toilets Day? Just saying.
Okay. I didn't know that, but that's sad. And I was telling my spouse last week, and I was like, last week was Father's Day, and it seems very silent. Everything was just so quiet. It wasn't like the Mother's Day, like you will know like weeks ahead that something is coming up. The store will tell you, buy this for your mom. Even everywhere on your phone, you'll be getting like all those prompts on your phone, buy this for your mom. But Father's Day was so silent, So I feel for the boy child. Honestly, I feel for the boy child. And all with what he said, if there's one medical term I want you to go home with, I will give you for free. It's called takosubo. So what we learned in school about takosubo means it's a heart problem caused by stress. It's a stress-induced cardiomyopathy. What that does is that you're being so exposed to stress or so much that the heart, the muscles that pumps your heart becomes weak, and it leads to heart problems. So when you were mentioning that, so we call it heartbreak, but in medical terms, it's called takosubo. It just weakens the heart and it doesn't, so but what I want to say for that question, going back to that question, is that when the person asks, at what time do we begin to suppress the ball child? I think as from the day the ball child is born to any family, they begin to receive that suppression. And so basically, there is no particular one moment that is dedicated to I'm going to start suppressing a child. From the birth of that child, it begins right there. Personally, I do have a friend, a colleague here, and then he would tell me he has 5 children, 4 boys and a girl, and he would train the boys to be so hard, like they can't express themselves. And I'm like, I told Mike, I said, why are you doing this? He said, yeah, I have to, like, they have to toughen up. These are realities. This is not what Google is saying. They have to toughen up. They can't express themselves, right? But I want to answer the question by saying that if only parents can pay attention to how they treat both boys and girls in the home, because that's where the problem is. The problem starts from the home, right? And if we can handle the issues from home, we might not even really need much of therapy. Because there is the thing that person goes for therapy, but guess where they're coming back to? They're coming back to the home. So they are re-exposed again, expose, re-expose, expose. In the long run, it's going to lead to frustration, right? So parents just need to pay attention that the same way you will treat a girl child, it should be the similar way where you treat a boy child as well, because they are all children, right? So it's something we do unconsciously, that we do not even realize that we're doing that, and just because the society has said a boy child should be this, doesn't mean that it should be that, because you can begin to do things differently. We can begin to start changing those narratives that the society has said. If you listen to me so well, I said these are things that are not biologic in origin. These are things that society has kind of set up to suit what a man or a boy should look like. It is not what we brought from heaven. It's the society that defined that gender role of masculinity to us. There is nothing of such. So it is okay not to silence a boy from from that tender age, not to silence them. And I know there's a particular culture, especially with the African culture. We are so tough on our boys, right from the get-go. Like a child falls from a couch and he wants to cry. We say, nope, Junior, you can't cry.
You're a boy.
You are a boy, you cannot do that. And everything just accumulates over the years. Don't forget, a man was once a boy. But you have to go back to the foundation of that boy, because they are going to carry it over and over again. So length and breadth of it is that parents, we need to pay attention not to treat any child differently. We should treat them equally, that such that even if they cry, even if they messed up, it's okay. Let them have that conversation. Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that. I'm not sure if there's any other question. I have more questions actually myself. Okay, I'll wait. If you have a question, you can raise up your hand or you can drop in the chat box. But I will still have to go back to my first question. Tony, you said something which I was thinking about that narration about the lady that dated the guy in college, and after 20 years. For me as a woman, if you asked me to talk about that, I would feel like, but why would I take him at that time when his back is gone, and when he's used most of his life gaming around?
I will ask. I'll answer
it's just a fair question. Why would I take him back at that point?
I will answer that. I'll answer that question with a question.
Okay.
So you tell him that, Now, if tomorrow you get into an accident and you break both your legs or you lose both your legs, they get amputated. And a man comes and maybe you've seen someone who likes you and they say, okay, no, I want a wife who can walk. How would you feel?
Yeah.
And if he came and said, I don't mind, I actually truly know what I had then. And regardless of the fact that you've been injured and you've lost your legs, I still want you.
Please,
If you
people
sorry,
to this conversation.
just say that again. Your mic, I couldn't hear you.
I said I want women on the platform to actually contribute to this conversation, because for me, this is me. I have dated you when you were in your youth. You left me for more beautiful women. You left me for more career-driven women. 20 years after, you came back. No,
Remember
no,
when I
Tony, I'm
said
not going to take
college?
you back.
Remember when I said college? That means they were about 18, 19,
I agree.
20, right? Then if actually even for me, and this is what I told her then, if you had told me he broke my heart, he disrespected me, he put me down in such a way, and I was heartbroken, and so I've moved on, or I can't take him back because of what he did. That's different. But when you come and tell me that because of what happened in his life, that was not his fault. When I'm growing bald, that is God who's decided that. So you're not pointing a finger at me. You're telling God you made an imperfect person. Whatever accident that damaged his back, remember, you're not telling him. You're telling the person who's in control of that situation, because you're saying if you are not balding and you didn't have a bad back, I'll have taken you back. It's not in his control.
Well, yes, I do agree.
So you are actually not addressing him at that time. You're addressing God.
Well, I do understand, but I would ask on the platform, if you would have taken the man back, can you please put a thumbs up? If you would have taken the man's back in that scenario. And I would also say, if we switch it and it was the lady that had a backpack, as a man, would you take a back? Because in this life, we had so many things that goes on. And that, I know it's a very difficult conversation when it's come to that, but it's really tricky, Tony. When we talk about men's health, we talk about women's health, and we talk about health or whatever in general. Lately, you hear a lot of speakers, they say to you that what is most priority to them is their family. You've just demonstrated it today. You were talking, your daughter walks in, and what did you do? You stopped to say hello to your daughter. Sometimes we love ourselves, we go into partnership, not only because you're beautiful, you're this, because anything can happen. Sorry, can you mute, please? Because when we talk about mental health, please, can you mute, please? Just muted them.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just trying to mute him, but I don't know. I think he's gone now. So, because my point is, even if you look at our last prime minister last week when he was leaving the office, he said something, and I told my friend that was with me. He said, "I am going to the most promising or most enjoyable job, which is going back to my loving wife and family." There's different reasons why we get married or why we stay single or why we look after our families or why we do. But if you are a man that you've not, okay, yes, maybe, yes, you're saying, oh, we're 18, we're 19, yes, fine. Then you went through life without me. Then all of a sudden you come back. Asking me to take you back, it will be a tricky one. And I want us to have this conversation. I want people on this platform to also come in and tell me, how did you see it? Because it depends on how you see life. Some people will say to you that, oh, I will take them back. But some people would say, no, I'm not going to take them back. And everybody has their own reason for not taking them back. There was something you said when you were talking. You said women can be a safe place for men. And you said something, you said, when there is connection. We've experienced men that get married and they will now go back to their exes and say, oh, it was a mistake. How is that a mistake? And you want the ex to take you back. I'm hoping other people can join into this conversation, but I don't know if you have one or two things to add to that.
All right. Number one, with the question that you finished with, I will also say you never know a good thing until you lose it.
Well,
So many times, and this is both men and women, they walk out, then they realize that yes, the grass looked green on the other side, but the water bill was also higher. So they now want to go back to where they were because they realize, oh, I actually had it good on this side. That, and then now, just to summarize everything else that you've said, because we said, we can always turn it around and ask, what if it was the lady who had a back problem? And I'll give us all homework. Go to AI and ask AI globally, if a man loses their job, what percentage of spouses will leave? And if a lady loses her job, what percentage of husbands will leave the woman? I suspect you don't even need to go to AI.
It's very obvious.
Yeah. That's why I started by when I said, when a man makes money, they think of, I can provide for my family. I can provide for my wife. I have to make her look like a queen. Okay, there are those who will be like, okay, now I can have many women. Now I can leave her. And there's that. But then predominantly, because we have been built to provide, protect, all right, and lead. So we feel that there's something missing if we're not providing, leading, protecting. And that's why we say, now I have the capability to do this. On the other side, ladies are naturals, but they need to be provided for to nurture. So when she's able to provide for herself, she says, I don't need a man. I have the resources to do the nurturing that I need to do.
But Tony, that narration you've just said is changing really. I think it depends on the where you are in life, really. And I think I will have to also go back to my first question, which is who is there for the boy child? Who is actually teaching that boy child to unlearn those things that you were brought up with? You men of then of you have to man up, you have to be this, you have to do this. Who is there for that? How many organizations, NGOs, and then you also go to Adiola as well. You go around, you do a lot of outreach work, and you specify on, oh, I want to do this specifically for this person. In the next 5-10 years, we're going to see female. Not sure why this person. We're going to see a lot of female getting into great positions. Even as at now, if you go to some offices, some positions that have been given to female, and then you look beside them, okay, where's the husband? Or some has a husband, but how do we bridge that gap, Tony? How do we bridge those gaps? How do we actually try to move the men up? If there are some things that you guys were taught that we're trying to unlearn it, to try to make you unlearn it, teach you not to be to try to laugh, to try to show the emotion. How do we bring in what NGOs, how many NGOs are out there that can actually bring this out to support our boy child?
I'll just mention and say, and I'll take a good example, and our sister Adiola will be able to maybe support us on this, or give us some information. If you look at the US right now, the most empowered individual is the woman, and then the children, and then the pets, and then the men. So you want to divorce, you're kicked out of your house. You don't have the children. if you really look at it, society has put itself in such a place where we are squeezing the men, and especially the black men. The moment there is a strife, the moment, for instance, Adiola, if you were to call right now and say, I am being abused in the house, and if your husband was to call and say, I am being abused in the house, would you get the same reaction from the police?
Absolutely not.
So
No.
you see, as society, we need to have a change of heart, a change of mind, and start realizing that we cannot proceed by empowering the woman and stripping the man of his rightful God-given position. Because there are very, very, very few divorces that happen where the man comes out okay, especially in the US. That's why I say the US. When you come down to, like, let's say many of these African places, the woman struggles because the man is like, I've been providing everything, but then now when you get the ladies who understand what they are entitled to, you get into challenges. I remember when I got divorced, I said, you know what? I'm not going to have a fight in court about divorce. So I told the lady, I said, all right, we are splitting. You've decided you want to leave. And she was like, yeah, so we need to talk about, the properties. And I said, take everything you want. Whatever you leave is what I'll remain with. Anything you ask, anything you decide to go with, I am not stopping you. I was left with one old sofa to sleep on. My cars went, everything went. And I said, for my peace of mind, let her take it everything. Why? Because there's some material things. My focus is I need to have my peace of mind so that I can focus on ensuring that I raise my children to be better people. How many of us think like that? Because that has been the driving force that's allowing me to be sitting here talking to you like this. Others will have been dead a long time ago. I'll have taken other, I had other options, which, trust me, many of them were not even legal options. It'll have been bad. But I said, my mental mind, anything that I got, I can always get again. It will take me time, but I can always get it again. The moment I lose this, and that's the same thing I told the cardiologist, I will never come back here because of a mental issue. I will continue to see psychologists. I will continue to talk as an advocate. And every time I talk, when you're asking questions, I'm able to see some triggers in my life as well. So you might come and you're sharing your story, or you're asking me a question based on but you're talking to me as well. So this, and a lot of this, I don't want anyone to hear come and say, I'm an expert. I'm not an expert. I have just lived through a lot of stuff, and I'm experiencing a lot of stuff, and I'm sharing based on my experiences and based on what that has shaped me into. When you ask me a question, I might not have experienced it, but then this is how I will take it. So please remember, again, this is not something that you can go and say, okay, now we want to go and confirm with so and so if this is what normally happens. I am sharing from my experiences and from who I am.
Amazing. Thank you. Adiola, I think you want to chip in.
Yes. So going back to the question, who put this narrative out there on why a boy child should be supported or a man should be supported? Honestly, when we use the words society, who makes up the society? Because it's like society looks as if they're a group of people standing somewhere. All of us right here are the society, right? So it starts from us. And that's the hope that I believe we have 27 people in this platform today. That's 27 families represented here today. So it's not just a conversation of, I just want to suit my head or just hear something. It's a conversation of, we're taking this piece back to our community. We're taking this piece back to the family. We're taking this back to our workplace. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Yeah. So we're taking this information to, to better a conversation around things like this. So basically, I think men too again, it's not the blaming game, but it's something. It's going to be hard, but we need to start from somewhere. A lot of time, men are not too interested in bringing that sensitive conversation into the society. Mental health conversation into the society. This is where I feel into the society. Men. We've mastered that. That's why we are out there. Like, that's I say, we're natural lawyers, natural speakers. We can get into the emotion of the society, and they will give us the grant that we need. We're good for that. Give us the kudos for that. I think men should start to see that as, they should start begin to feel comfortable in that same space, such that we begin to have more of advocacy, we begin to have more of awareness, we begin to have more of policy makers begin to support things like that. That's why when like I had my kids in Canada, and there is, I don't know whether some countries do have it, but I know that the country that I've lived, right, in Canada, for instance, there is paternal leave. When I had my babies, right, my husband could take time off work, because guess what? Men too also undergo postpartum depression. That's the truth. They do. But when we talk about postpartum depression, we're always thinking that it's just the women, 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 women. No, because sometimes it might just be the new dad trying to figure out, how am I going to deal with this new soul, stuff like that. But the man will still continue to go to work. So that's the place of policy. Use your power, use your position to make those changes happen. That's why I said it's not going to happen in one day. But what I also see is that I think women have believed that they've been at the backstage for so long, and they are coming with full force now. And that's why we're seeing all those things. They can actually, pitch the way they feel to the society without feeling guilty. That this is the way I feel. This is the way I feel in my marriage. I feel disappointed. I feel emotionally drained. But only 1 in 1,000, only very few Mr. Tony Kisaka will be out there saying, hey, this is the way I feel, right? So if we do not let the society know how men feel, the society will continue to assume the man is okay. So that conversation needs to start happening, right? Very important. Yeah, and I also noticed that you can correct me for the UK now. There's a policy changing around divorce now, where many women are using divorce to enrich themselves. And I think there's a new policy coming up around that you divorce your husband, you go back to your country, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's already on. It started last December. Yeah.
And then even in the US, also the president also passed that stuff that you divorce your husband, you only live with what you came in with, not what you acquire in the course of the marriage. Right? So I think it is not a conversation that should be left for the society alone. It starts from the home, goes into the society, goes into policy making process as well, where we need, but who are the policy makers? It's the 27 of us seated here, right here.
Absolutely.
Right. So
thank you so much for that. I'm just going to read some of the comments on why we were asked that question. One of the comments from Jolly, my lovely sister, she said, that's tough. One has to look at it from many angles to understand the full story. I have one from Isabel. She said, sorry, but I don't think I would. Not so much because of the bad back or anything like that. It is more that I have not gotten to a point where I can look back 20 years and reconsider someone romantically. Trust goes both ways. And once the trust is broken, it's difficult to get it back. In a position, that is not someone I'll feel safe with. I'm so sorry, Tony, but I agree with that. Absolutely, 100%, And I had another comment from Babalola Yusuf. She said, we also have paternity leave now in Nigeria. Absolutely, that's really good. For up to 14 days now for married men. Oh, it's just jump up. Yeah, for married men too, under the new PSL. Oh, amazing. That's good news. One from my lovely Lisa. She said, I think the policy is also active in Kenya, but it's only for the rich. Tony, take that. I have one from Kamal. He said, impressive contribution. I am inspired. Then I have another one from Lisa. He said, a man who has learned healthy way to communicate, regulate his emotion, and seek support is often better equipped to build relationships based on respect, trust, and understanding. At the same time, mental health challenges should never be used to excuse harmful or abusive abusive behavior. Healthy relationships require both partners to take responsibility for their actions, communicate openly, and support each other. And that was why I still have to go back to that question. And I think this question, I want you to take it away, especially those of us that have NGOs, because most of us, we always talk about, oh, I have to do girl child things. If you look at Duchess, I always say to people that Duchess is a mother, is a sister. It's not only about girl child. We do girl child, we do boy child. In fact, when we wanted to do our outreach in Nigeria for CPL, and people were like, oh, we go to a girls' school. I'm like, no, I don't need you to go to a girls' school. You go to a mixed school, because Duchess, I have three boys. So where do I leave my own kids? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I am a mother. Duchess is a mother. She is a mother to a boy and to a girl. And one thing I feel like I want to take away and I want us to think about from this meeting is who helped the boy child? Because the world, the future is female. I'm so, even if you don't, we can see it. The future is female. But what happened to the men? Yeah, okay, we all want to be an independent woman. But I realize that in as much as, yeah, you would say, oh, you see, you have a lot of independent women that are single, but we have a lot of a lot of rich independent women at the top as well that still have husband. What are we missing? How can we use our outreach to support this? It's just that what Lisa wrote the last time, talking about when a boy child is taught properly. How can we teach them properly? How can we make sure that they unlearn the bad habits and learn the good habits and support their wives and actually marry someone that they love? Not marry because I'm rich and I have a house now. Because that's what the issue is. To me, sometimes the man just feel like, oh, I have a house and I have money. Let me just marry. Then in the next 10 years, the woman is saying, oh, you lost your job. I'm not going to be with you. What happened to friendship in that relationship? What happened to those connections? If you have friendship in a marriage, if you have connection, if you have all of those things, even if the woman is the one supporting the house 100%, the marriage will still not break. Okay, I have two hands up. Diola, I'll give you.
I'll let Lisa go because I always want to hear
Okay.
from people.
All right. All right, Lisa.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sorry for coming late. I set my
No
alarm
problem.
wrongly. I
Oh,
set
no
my alarm
problem.
at 8 o'clock, but it was 7 o'clock.
No worries at all.
So this conversation
Yeah.
about the men and men's mental health,
Yeah.
it's something we'll never finish because there's a bridge gap. There's a big gap between men and women. There's a gap that is being set between girl child and a boy child. Just so you find more organizations, they only support girl child much, much, much so that they can grow, improve, and be empowered. You see, because the society, I think it comes from societal norms. Tony can prove me wrong because our man is they have been raised with the Christianity norms, biblical norms, societal norms. They are being told, oh, you have to behave like this, or you have to be like this, or you have to do this way. They are not told that when okay, there's a verse in the Bible about Leviticus. It says, fear a woman who bleeds. Like a woman is supposed to be feared. Like you're supposed to respect her, fear her. A woman who bleeds or remove blood in her body, that's somebody that you have to respect, you have to treat well, someone who can bear you, who can give birth, who can create another human and come to the world, is somebody you have to treat well. But let me tell you, Bola, we try to have these conversations also in the universities, and do you know what comes? We usually fight. We end up fighting. We end up not having a full conversation. We end up not getting what we wanted. I know people will just say, oh, that is it. So my point was, when we want to want to help the boy child so that we can know how to help them, how to do them, we can just only challenge mostly harmful stereotypes. we move away from that word like, oh, boys don't cry. I had the Ola saying, oh, boys don't cry. Oh, boys should not fall. Boys should cry. What make you think that they are stronger than us? Why? What makes you think they are so like they can take the pain in? What makes you think they cannot be affected with any mental thing? What makes you think like they don't bleed too? What makes you think like, oh, you should not be like this? You have to be strong. You know, the more we're telling them boys don't cry, is the more they're handling the pain inside, and the more they cannot get the pain outside. It's the more that their mental health cannot come outside. That's why you find more men do not speak, no matter how much people try to say it's a month of men mental health, let's make it aware. In Kenya right now, nobody cares. We only see few men just marching on the road, like you can just count them, 10 of them on the street. The rest are not there. Where are they? Because men don't even feel safe with their fellow men. So it's not only that a woman has to come through. I have to be a man with somebody like, oh, he has gone, he has challenged the harmful stereotypes that he's already put in his mind, the societal norms that he's already put in mind. My mom, my dad told me, my dad said I should do this to a woman. So we have to get, if he has already gotten rid of those challenges, those things, those harmful, I call them very harmful stereotypes because they're so harmful, then we can have a conversation with them. Then we can
Thank you.
be their safe space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much for that contribution. Thank you. Diola, I'll leave that to you.
Honestly, this conversation is heading very interesting. I don't know who else you have a conversation like this. This one, it's a personal experience and it's coming from a friend, and I believe a lot of people can learn because, I have this friend of mine, he's back in Nigeria, and that's the importance of, having a spouse or a friend that can trust you well enough such that they can express who they are without feeling guilty. And especially when religion is even involved. Because sometimes a man might have committed something out there, which I don't want to mention. And then everybody blames the man for doing that. And then the man decides not to talk anymore. But at that moment, we need that man to talk.
Yeah.
We want him to talk. What's going on? Is it that the woman is no longer attractive anymore? What is it that the one outside is doing that the one inside is not doing? But at that point, we shut the man down. And then it doesn't, that the man went quiet doesn't mean the emotion has been cut off, for the one outside, right? He just stopped talking and things might even get worse, right? So that's one piece to it. Another side to it is that, so here is the true life story that happened. So he was having issues with his at work. He was going through so many emotional stuff at work. The demand, the pressure of work was so much. And each time when he gets home, the woman wasn't even paying attention. Because when we say conversation is not about the one we speak out, even reading the body language of the guy, reading the body language of the man, looking at the facial expression, because I could be telling you I'm happy, but my facial expression is like this, I'm squeezing face, they're not matching. So when we say conversation, it's not just about the spoken word. Even the body language is very important. So the wife wasn't paying attention to the body language, and over time, the guy found somebody who could pay attention both to the verbal and the body language, right? And guess what? He started opening up to the one outside because somebody finally understands those two aspects of communication and conversation. And you know what happened? They were spending more time together. They started on a casual, I feel safe around you, that safety. And then they started having that conversation. And before you know it, something the unexpected happened, right? So what am I driving at is that I want to quickly state this point that when we even say conversation, please pay attention to not just the verbal word. Pay attention to the physical, the non-spoken words of the body language of that person, which is very important because that's where the problems are. A lot of times when we begin to have problems in marriages where the man stopped talking, it's because the man has been speaking When I say speaking, he's been passing his message across, but we're not
Absolutely.
catching it.
Yeah.
Right? And that aspect is very important. The unspoken words are very important because it comes with emotions. It's natural, it's undiluted of how the person feels within. I'll leave it for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. We have 9 minutes to go. And I'm just going to, I don't know if we can take one more question. If anyone has a question, just one more question. Then we would give the speakers 2 minutes each to actually just tell us, talk about the last words. Then we run it. If anyone have a question, you can talk. If not, I'm still going to come back to you, Diola, to give us like a 2 minutes advice or
Okay.
whatever you think.
Ask
Then
a
I'll go
question.
back to. Okay.
Good
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Camille here.
Hello,
So,
Camille.
really interesting conversation and very, very deep. And I love that piece from Adiola. And
Thank you.
then I just want to throw this as a question. I mean, that emotion she's talking about, like, yes, I know there's the facial expressions, the mood should be able to tell something about the emotions. But I don't know if one of the speakers can just help us with what are those signs
Mm.
that the woman or the man can look out for in the partner so you can really get that emotional thing. And or what are the little techniques you will use to make him or her open up? Thank you.
Thank you. Diola.
Mr. Tony, tell us those emotions you throw out there for we women so that we can begin to catch it now. Tell us.
All right. This reminds me of a talk I had a couple of days ago. We were talking about mental health where it pertains to the security personnel,
Right.
and obviously we were talking about uh, men's mental health. And one of the things that I spoke about was how to be able to recognize the early warning signs. And obviously, much as I'm talking about men, this is now, it's not just for men, but then it may apply to women as well. And some of these things, we need to be able to understand that mental strain does not appear suddenly. It normally builds gradually. So the danger is that many times those who are with us, like and I'm sure some of us have had that analogy of the frog, where if you threw a frog into hot water, it will jump out. But if you put it in cold water and you put that pan of cold water on a fire, the frog will, it will happily cook without realizing it's actually dying. So some of the early warning signs will include, if you talk about emotional signs, we'll talk about irritability and anger. So if you realize someone keeps getting angry so fast, they've got a very short fuse, they get irritated, they're not listening to what's happening, and you're like, okay, they're being, at times you'll say they're being inconsiderate, they're being unfair, but then at times it's just a sign that there's a mental health issue. There may be stress in a way. There's emotional numbness where you get to a place and because you keep on being told you're nothing, and that's what's actually happened, especially with men. You're nothing. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to be this. If you don't have this amount of money, you cannot get a wife. You cannot do this. And people become numb emotionally. There's loss of motivation. When you find someone who has been out there. They've always been the first one, let's go do this. They're always encouraging people. And then all of a sudden they don't have that motivation. We need to start asking questions. When you look at physical signs, you can talk about signs such as maybe constant fatigue, poor sleep, or insomnia, where sometimes you're like, okay, I did not sleep last night and I was so tired. I don't know why. It may be a mental health issue. Talk about headaches and body tensions. Those also could be signs. There's also behavioral signs such as withdrawal from colleagues and family, increased alcohol or substance use, reduced performance or poor judgment, in our day-to-day activities. We've got cognitive signs such as difficulty concentrating, slow decision making, negative thinking patterns as well. So there are many signs that and I will also encourage us to please try and maybe Google and read some of these things because the answers are there. We just need to be able to realize, oh, okay, this is the information that I need to be able to have so that I know how to look out for those signs. And some of the resilience strategies include being able to prioritize sleep and recovery for ourselves. Don't allow yourself to get burnout, right? Prioritize your sleep and recovery. Don't come and say, I'm an adult, so I cannot sleep before 11, I cannot sleep before midnight. If you're having a stressful day tomorrow, get into bed, put your phone to the side at even 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and just try and calm yourself down to be able to sleep. Maintain physical fitness. When is the last time you went for a walk? When is the last time you were in the gym? When is the last time you took a run? When is the last time you engaged in any sports or any exercise, swimming? We need to all acquire at least something that we can be able to do. Play golf, something that will make sure that we maintain physical fitness because that also carries to our mental fitness as well. And develop emotional awareness. Understand which are the triggers which are the triggers in my life. I have taken time and I have come to learn so much the triggers in my life that I'm able to see many of them from afar and step away or mitigate them before they impact me negatively. And you always need to find someone who you can be able to speak to before pressure builds.
Thank you so much, Johnny. I would assume Camille was talking about, well, I think in my head, it looked like it was more to do with even in relationship. Because sometimes you're in a relationship and your wife cannot even read you. And I think for me, I might be wrong, Camille. You can actually give me thumbs up if I'm right, if I'm wrong. And I think for me, I'm not so old, but yes, I think I'm getting to the half of century, so but what I've realized, and I will go back to that statement you made, Tony, about how can a woman, I wrote the question down that how can a woman be a safe place to a man? When you were talking about we should be a safe place to the man when there's a connection. What I realize in some cases is men get married based on, oh, I have money now, so I need a woman that can actually, pretty woman. And when you're talking about that ratio of, oh, how many women leave when the man is down, it was based on who you marry. And I think these are conversations that maybe when you have men's group, you should also have. If you marry a partner, your friend, not based on the look, when it's based on friendship, based on, a lot of things, I don't think that woman will leave when you are down. Well, you can correct me. I might be wrong.
You've said the right thing. Actually, you've given the answer there. If you get married to your friend,
yeah.
But you see, if I get married to you, and you see this happens, this is why I'm saying this, because this is what happens. I realize, oh, this lady is from a wealthy family. She's got everything set into place and everything. So I'm getting married because I know directly or indirectly, I will benefit. You see, she's not my friend. So we do not share the same friends. We do not share the same pastimes. The only thing bringing us together is because I realize she's going to be my safety net. And I'm sure you realize I've flipped this so that we can realize it's not just one-sided. I don't want to keep on thinking of the ladies always, because there are men who also do the same thing.
Yeah.
So when that happens, guess what? When something like COVID happens, and this thing I could see, there was so many news stories across the globe. How many homes broke just because finally, for 2, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, the husband and wife were staying in the same house in a confined space? How many marriages broke? The real ones that you married your friend sustained through. But then if what I was interested in, we don't share friends with, me, I go my way, you go your way, we only meet at home because we are married and we have kids. Those marriages broke. And there are many. I remember getting stories from different countries where you'll always get, and if you Google, you'll find there's so many stories of in that aspect. So I come back to that you've actually answered the question saying, marry your friend.
Thank you so much. It's so to keep you or more than 7. And I think that conversation, Tony, is a conversation you guys should really look into, really, as in men. I personally, I look forward to a lot of men's group. I have a charity in the UK and we have a men's group. I actually pushed, in fact, there was a time I was in their group, they kicked me out. And I'm always saying to them, you need to talk. You guys are men, you need to talk. And they go through so much. And obviously we have a lot of them moved in recently from Nigeria. These are men that directors in their company, they're doing well. They sold all of those things and moved into the UK. And now the society is telling them that you need to shut up when your wife is talking. You need to shut up when your child is talking. It's hard for them and it affects their mental health. I want men to also look at having groups. Try to help the boy child, let them unlearn some things that they already might have. You learn and you realize what's wrong and let them relearn so that their relationship will be different. So that as maybe in the next 5 years or 10 years, we'll have a different narration in the sense that there'll be more marriages, there'll be more peaceful home, there'll be more partnership, companionship. And we never know with AI, we don't know where we're going to get ourselves, but let's do our best. Thank you both speakers and thank you everyone for being on this platform for 2 whole hours. Thank you so much. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this conversation and it gave me a lot of light bulb moments. And I'm still going to come back to you, Tony, because we have to have a men's group. You guys have to have association. I do understand that, yes, there's a lot of opportunities for girl child, but boy child needs you too. We need you. We need people like you to have an organization for men, for boys, so we can support you as mothers as well. So thank you both. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a lovely week.
Thank you very much and have a good night or
you.
good morning wherever
Thank
you
you.
are. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Lovely. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.